doing all of your carbohydrates from liquid is probably a good recommendation, just to make sure we're not overdoing it or feeling too heavy from fluid too. So probably don't need to stop at every like pit stop if you're doing like an actual marathon race, but making sure that, you know, when you are thirsty, you're sipping to satisfy that thirst is probably a good way to start. Just kind of like general day-to-day hydration outside of activity would be half your body weight in ounces. And I don't know many people that even do that. So think about like doing that outside of your activity. And so then you need extra fluid to kind of make up for what you've lost in sweat. Yeah.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. I will say I wouldn't be too worried that you're losing a ton of fluid from spitting. You're probably still okay if you're well hydrated. I think things that worked for me when we ran indoor track, the air is really dry, and I had a lot of dry mouth issues as well. Would be if you've ever tried running with gum, or you know, if you are, you know, bringing fluid on the run with you in like a handheld bottle, that could potentially prevent some of that dry mouth feeling. But as far as like your hydration status, I think you're probably okay.
I agree with Meredith too. I used to have a lot of issues with like dry mouth, but it's gotten better. I think. I don't know. It's just getting used to it. But on my longer runs and stuff like that, I always have water with me too, just so I can kind of rinse my mouth out if I need to. Or chewing gum has worked with a lot of my athletes actually.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
um, so for me, 50 degrees sounds really good right now. I could take that. But when it gets, for me at least, just being used to more of the colder winters and stuff, most time I don't wear a face shield until it's about 20 degrees or under. Um, but I have these, what's the company? I think it's SNA Fishing. I think actually they sell some face shields, and I've gotten those. And then when it gets really cold, if it's like negative 10 ish or below, I'll wear like a fleece lined one. Um, but chapped lips unfortunately do happen. I just kind of, and I actually just put some on before here, but I just kind of have to get in more of a routine of just doing it kind of constantly, or I'm just going to be terrible. So that's at least what I do.
Yeah, I think the face burn and from like the wind and stuff was the worst. And so I would start doing like a lot of Vaseline on like the lips and exposed areas of my skin. That seemed to help as far as like the dryness. But I think, you know, after being in Houston, this is going on my 7th year. I've become a little soft with the cold as well. So, you know, not necessarily as used to it as I was in high school. But I will say mittens are your best friend. They're so much warmer than gloves.
Yes.
And that's definitely the move there.
Yes.
And, you know, as far as layers, you can always take layers off, time around your waist. So if, you know, if being cold in the morning is a reason you're giving yourself to not go run, layer up, get super toasty, and then you don't have that excuse anymore. Yeah, I think if it's anything less than like an hour that you're running, you probably don't need to eat anything, especially if it's like an easy run. If it's a short but intense workout, maybe you're doing like some hill sprints or whatever intense looks like to you, where your heart rate's up, you probably couldn't hold a conversation, then I would recommend getting some sort of carbohydrate in. So if you're just going for a jog, probably don't need to force yourself to eat in the mornings if you don't want to. Like running fasted would be fine at that point, as long as we're making sure we're having a good breakfast after. So yeah, I don't think the general easy day you would need to have anything. Coffee though, to wake yourself up, definitely. Maybe if you want to give yourself some time to let it have its effect, or if you know that there's regularly scheduled bathrooms along your route, that would be definitely a way to plan ahead, because I've definitely run with people who have had these issues.
For at least for me, I always have to eat actually. So when I wake up, like, I mean, sometimes I'm hungry, sometimes I'm not, but I know like if I try to run on an empty stomach, I'll feel like I have to vomit. So I just try not to do that. So, but like kind of like what Meredith said earlier, I'll do like a Cliff Bar I've done before, like a Pop Tart, or just kind of something smaller, but at least there's something in there. So I feel at least a little bit better when I'm running.
Right.
Yeah. Eat Pop Tarts.
Get it sponsored right now.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I think it's important to note that everyone is going to be so individual with this. So like Kyle was saying, if you're waking up hungry and running on an empty stomach bothers you more, then definitely eat something. If you're more like me, where eating something tends to bother you more, then know the days where you're trying to get through it and force yourself to have something, versus days where it's probably not necessary.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think Jeremy and I have both probably seen there's a lot of, like, I mean, just like you said, but all of our athletes are completely different. And it's just like all the track runners are different depending on what they do on Saturday morning invitationals and stuff like that. So
for sure. I will say, when it comes to high school athletes though, I would love if they would all have something before every practice, just because it's such an important time for growth, development, and most of them are skipping 1 or 2 meals a day as it is. And so I wish that I spend most of my time at the high schools I work with, like just trying to get kids to eat a bit more.
So if my athletes are listening, listen to Meredith. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep, I have a couple. I asked some of my athletes. So, okay, so my athlete said Cheez-Its.
Okay. What's the context? Is this pre-practice or? Okay. Okay. So I would say probably the Cheez-Its would be a good option. So really small, easy to tolerate, quick source of carbohydrate, especially if school's done at 3 and you got practice at 3:15, 3:30, that would definitely be where I would start. If, you've done ramen and can like feel fine with it and it's just a bit larger volume, then go for it. I will say ramen would also have some fluid, so you could like knock out hydration with it too. But I'd probably go with the Cheez-Its to start.
All right. And then I have Oreos.
All right. Yeah. Gatorade Energy Cheers. Yeah.
That was a good one.
That was a good one.
Let's go. Let's see, what else do my athletes say? I should have wrote all of them down. Hershey bar. Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah, I think if we're in the same context, just the regular Hershey bar, because adding almonds to it would be a source of fat and that'll slow down digestion just a bit. So we want to make sure we're getting carbohydrates into our system as quickly as possible in that short amount of time. Mm, okay. Hmm. Hmm.
I'll just go. Let's go a Gatorade protein shake. That's what we have in mind.
Okay. These are great. Okay. So I would go with the icy, especially if, you're practicing after school and it's hot. We actually know that that can kind of cool off or give your perception to your body that it's colder and help you not fatigue as easily. So here in Houston, that would be a pretty great option actually as far as carbohydrates go. I would use the Gatorade protein shake after though, for sure. Or for our athletes like snacking during the day. A lot of them struggle to get in enough protein. And so that can be a really great option either, throughout the day. I try to get my athletes to eat a solid amount of protein every like 4 hours or so. And so that would be a great option if you struggle to get protein in at breakfast or at snacks or, a bedtime snack after a hard workout. So I would definitely utilize both, just in very different contexts.
Well, there we go. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Pringles.
Yeah, I know. Like, I don't get the hot Cheeto Taki craze, but I would go with Pringles, just plain Pringles, because spice can be an irritant to our stomach, and definitely going into intense exercise would probably, in most athletes, cause some issues or maybe not feel as great. So the more kind of like bland, just regular salty would probably be good. Yeah, the interesting thing about eating a lot of salt is that it drives thirst. So if you do struggle to hydrate, have a salty snack and it'll tell your body to also drink some water.
Life hack right there.
Yeah.
Um, just kind of a random question I just thought of talking about protein. We have in my athletic training room, I saw the Gatorade products. So I do the energy chews, I do whey protein shakes, protein bars, and then just regular Gatorades. Would there be is there a better option as far as like let's say like a protein shake, as far as like a powder form turned in with milk or water, and then like a protein bar? Is there uh, pros and cons to each, or is one better than the other?
As far as brands go,
Or just like, if is there a difference at all between like a protein drink and a protein bar?
hmm, yeah. So bars will typically tend to have a bit more carbohydrate than like a protein shake, and then a ready to drink protein shake like the Gatorade ones will have more carbohydrate than if you were to just get a protein powder and mix it yourself. So that's something to keep in mind if, we don't need as much carbohydrates, if we haven't had as high intensity of a day, maybe a protein powder would be a way to just get in, making sure we're getting in like just a good dose of protein. As far as the type of protein powder, our Gatorade ones are going to be made with whey protein powder, and that's totally sufficient. That's a really good one. We know it's high in leucine, an amino acid that kind of tells your muscles like, hey, let's build up here and, recover really well, and kind of increases muscle protein synthesis. So whey is honestly one of the cheaper ones too. And so it's totally fine to look for one that's just a whey protein. As far as bars go, I think the key is to find one that you like. So the more protein they try to pack in a bar, to me, the taste and the texture gets worse, progressively worse. So finding one that's right around 15 to 20 is probably a sweet spot. Your Cliff bars will have about 9 or 10, so maybe a bit lower than I would recommend. So maybe pairing that with another source of protein. Okay. Yeah. I'm not entirely sure of the difference. I would need to I would look at just the protein content. So like, for example, if one has 15 and one has 20, they're really pretty similar and will probably have like minimal difference in the effects it has on your body. However, if I'm someone who, really needs to recover or struggles to get protein at my meals, then I would definitely always opt for the higher one, the one that's higher in protein. But also, taste is going to play a big role in that too. So sometimes protein shakes can be really chalky and gross. And so I would need to find one that I like and actually would enjoy drinking too. I never want to have an athlete like force feed gross things that they don't like into their body. There's options. There's so many options out there that it's pretty easy to find at least one that they'll like. As far as for like plant-based people, I know that's pretty trendy right now. There's a lot of products out there as far as like protein shakes, protein powders. I would be looking for one that's either soy protein or PEA protein isolate. Those are just going to be higher quality than some of our other vegetable or plant-based proteins, meaning they contain more of the essential amino acids. So you'll get a better response in your body.
Oh yeah.
Yep. I think that they are very chalky. I haven't had a one that I like. There's like this aftertaste where you know that it's not just plain water. um, so, it's just another option that people can try. I think it's just proteins like the hot trend right now, which it is for a reason. So there's tons of products coming out. I mean, protein everything. I've seen protein cheese puffs, like they're just adding it to everything, which can be great because we know that not a lot of athletes reach protein targets. But, would I probably just recommend we find ways to get higher quality, like lean meats or like animal products in their diet? Probably.
I saw them. When sometimes I have to go to Walmart to get some of my Gatorade stuff, and I saw them. I was like, interesting. The price point would have been I would have made no money, which is fine. I'm just raising money for my program, selling them. But I was kind of interested in them. But I may have to try them sometime now. I don't know. I feel like I just want either regular Gatorade or a protein shake. I don't know if I want to mix the two into one. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, probably Instagram at Meredith Darcy Nutrition. So I can probably send you the correct spelling of that. I do have a Twitter. I think it's at Mere, so Mere Sorensen RD. I'm not as active on there. I usually just use it to stay up to date on research and things like that. So probably Instagram is the best way. Yeah. Yeah. So Darcy, Darcie, nutrition. Mhm.
It's all good. Uh, yeah. So all my social media as far as athletic training is Monroe Central AT. Um, TikTok, you can find the most. I mean, I post videos every day. But as far as messaging me, unfortunately, TikTok, you have to be following each other to message. So Instagram, you can send me a direct message on there, and I try to check that every single day to get back to you.
Ooh, just one. Okay. I think, most of your audience is athletic trainers. And I think if you want to look up like relative energy deficiency in sport or the female athlete triad, that will be super helpful for you to screen your athletes. Because, like I said, a lot of the high school athletes I work with are under fueling and it leads to problems down the line. So, familiarizing yourself with those concepts or reaching out to me for more resources on those concepts would be a great kind of tool to have in your toolbox just to rule out with your athletes. Yep. As far as the recreational runner, keep going. Like transitioning into a full-time job and still trying to run is very difficult than when I had all the time in the world in college. So kudos to everyone recreationally running that also works full time. Thanks so much. It was awesome.